Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys about things to consider when styling 4C hair, and I'm also going to be giving you guys a few tips and tricks and techniques that can help you along the way. So yeah, if you're not already subscribed, please go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. Turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified for when I upload my videos. And without further ado, sit tight and let's jump straight into the video. Okay, so a lot of the things I'm going to mention in this video are basically things that go for any hair type, things that you should consider when styling any hair type. Like, it's stuff that should go without saying, but for some weird reason a lot of these things don't really click to some people when they're styling their own 4C hair. So the first thing on my list is your hair texture. When I say texture, I mean the thickness of your strand. So whether your strands are fine, that is thin on the thinner side, medium if it's like medium size, and coarse if your strands are on the thicker side. Now, your hair texture is one of the most important things to consider when styling your hair. It goes hand in hand with your curl pattern. As a matter of fact, sometimes it actually overrides curl pattern when it comes to certain styles. That's why two people can have 4C hair and do the exact same style using the exact same tools, and their styles will come out significantly different. Now, your hair texture is what gives your hair feeling. It's what gives your hair malleability. So that is the ability to mold it and how it holds definition and all those things. Now, from my experience from doing other people's hair, finer hair is usually more malleable. It's much easier to smooth out. It's much easier to stretch out compared to coarser hair. And if you actually think about it, it kind of makes sense. Let's use a little extreme example. So let's say we compare finer hair to like very soft plastic, to a very soft plastic coil, and we compare thicker, coarser hair to like a very thick metal coil. Obviously it's going to be easier to stretch out the soft plastic coil than it is to stretch out the very thick metal one. It's going to take much less work to smooth out or flatten out or straighten out the plastic the soft plastic coil. So that's kind of how finer hair is much easier to stretch out and it's much easier to smooth compared to coarser hair. So with that being said, it's usually easier to do stretch styles like twist outs or braid outs or roller sets, flexi rod sets, or even bantu knots on finer hair that is softer and more malleable compared to coarser hair that is a bit on the stiffer side. Because these are styles that require your hair to be kind of smooth, so they require a bit of stretching or a bit of smoothing out of your hair so that they take up the definition of whatever sets that you put it in. And like I said previously, that is why it's very possible for two people to have 4C hair but different textures of 4C hair, and then they do a style, maybe a roller set or whatever, and it comes out really different on both heads. It's much easier to fluff out or pick or separate on one head than it is to do on the other head. Usually on a head of hair that has like medium to fine strands, it's usually easier to fluff out the hair. The style looks a bit smoother compared to someone that has maybe medium to coarse strands, and yeah, you still see some of that 4C texture in the hair. It's not as smooth, it's not as shiny sometimes, or it's not as fluffy compared to someone with a medium to finer hair texture. Even on the same head of hair, like using myself as an example, like I always say, my hair is very coarse. I have coarse strands, but in reality, majority, like all the back of my hair, majority of the middle, is all very coarse. But this part of my hair, like literally this crown area coming down to from this side, has more medium sized strands. So when I do my hair, I can always tell the difference. So whenever I do a roller set, for example, I can always tell the difference between how the hair on this part of my hair comes out and how the hair at the back comes out. The hair at the back is usually the first part of my hair to start reverting. Obviously, since the back is coarser and more difficult to stretch out, it's going to be the part that is going to start shrinking up first, and that is what always happens. The back of my hair starts to revert first. The back is usually more textured, and the roller set results are usually not as smooth as the front middle portion of my hair. The front of the roller set, the front of the hairstyle is usually stretched out more than the back. Like, I can always tell the difference every time I do a stretch style, like a braid out, roller set, twist out, bantu knots, or whatever on my head. Even when I blow on my hair or try to straighten out my hair, it's always the same thing. That is why it's super important to actually take time to understand your hair, to actually know your hair well, and know if you have different textures in your hair. Your hair can be all the same curl pattern, but it can still be different textures within within that curl pattern. So it's very beneficial to you on how you tailor your technique to your hair. So now I'm going to jump straight into techniques and give you guys some tips that I've been using over the years. So now, techniques to use when doing stretch styles on 4C hair. And for reference, for anyone that's just joining this video right at this point, when I say stretch styles in this video, I'm talking about braid out, twist styles, roller sets, bantu knot sets, styles that require like a bit of stretching or smoothing out of your hair. Those are the styles that I'm talking about. So the first technique is stretching your hair, especially if your hair is on the coarser side. If you have coarser strands, you have to find a way to stretch your hair before you actually do the stretch styles. And there are different ways to stretch your hair. People stretch their hair with twists, stretch their hair with braids, stretch their hair with African threading, stretch their hair with... Some people stretch your hair with blow drying, but I wouldn't recommend blow drying because it can damage your hair in the long run if you're always blowing out your hair before you do a style. I would definitely not recommend that at all. And if you actually notice, people with looser hair, like the type 3s, they also stretch their hair before they do a lot of these stretched hairstyles. They stretch their hair by simply brushing their hair. There are a lot of people with very loose hair that can simply just brush out their hair for it to look like a blowout, and that's a way of stretching the hair. Because their hair is not that tightly coiled, because their hair is kind of loose, merely brushing their hair is a way of stretching their hair before they actually do the style. Unlike people like us that have more kinky textured, more tightly coiled hair, brushing alone won't really suffice for us. That's why braids, twists, or cornrows or African threading is much better, because it actually stretches out our hair more. Some people even use the banding method to stretch out their hair. So there are many ways to stretch out your hair. You just have to find the way that's convenient for you. Like me personally, my hair is always in twists, and I do my hairstyles on these already twisted and stretched sections. Assuming I have 30 twists in my hair, if I want to do a roller set, I will do the roller set on those already 30 stretched twists. So obviously my style is going to come out more voluminous, it's going to come out more defined, and that is how I do my hair most of the times in all my videos. That's why and people start to wonder if my hair is really 4C or not because of the way my styles turn out. It's because my hair is pre-stretched before I actually do those styles. That is part of the reason why my styles come out like that. It's like doing your hair on your regular shrunken up 4C hair and doing it on blown out 4C hair. Obviously there's going to be a difference. So the act of stretching obviously gives you more volume in your hair, it gives you more better definition in your hair. So stretching is definitely something you want to incorporate into your technique if you want your styles to look that way. Now the second technique that goes hand in hand with stretching is doing smaller sections. Smaller sections. If your hair is 4C in general, especially if it's on the coarser side, you will benefit from doing smaller sections. Doing smaller sections helps you to smooth out your hair more, and it helps to elongate your hair more so that you have more definition. So if you're going for a more defined, more voluminous, more elongated look, you want to consider using smaller sections. So this is something that you have to play around with to know how many sections work best for your hair. I've been natural for a long time, for at least 6 years, so I kind of know exactly how many sections to do to achieve a certain look. So if I want my hair to be more on the elongated, voluminous, defined side, I know I'm probably gonna do at least 30 sections. If I really don't care that much about definition, I still want to have that texture, that kink in my hair, then I obviously don't do as many sections. So it just depends on the look you're going for. I do my stretch styles in a lot of sections sometimes. That's part of the reasons why I like to keep my hair in twists. So my hair is in twists and is stretched, and then on top of that I have a lot of default sections in my hair. So let's say I want to do a roller set. Normally when I do a roller set, to achieve a very defined, elongated, stretched out look, I'll probably have to do about 25 to 30 sections. That is part of the reasons why I always keep my hair in 60 twists, because I know if I want to do 25 to 30 sections, obviously that is a lot of sections. Doing that is going to take a lot of time. But if my hair is already in twists, I can just simply join 2 twists together to make 1 section, and I'll have 30 sections. So for me, a lot of my hair care is actually very calculated. I know exactly what I'm doing. If I'm doing something, I have a reason for doing it. If I'm leaving my hair in twists, in 60 twists, it's going to stretch out my hair. 1, 2, I already have pre-set sections for whatever hairstyle I want to do. If I want to do a braid out, from doing my hair over the years, if I'm going for a more afro look, my optimal braid out sections is about 10 to 12. So I have 60 twists in my hair. I can just simply join 6 twists together or join 5 twists together to make my 10 sections. Figuring out all these things is not something you have to stress yourself over too much. It's just something that you will just realize as you go on with your hair journey. Like I said, I've been natural for a very long time, about 6 or 6-7 years, so I kind of just have gotten used to all these things along the way. That's why it's very important to pay attention to your hair, and that is why I feel like when you figure out your routine that works for your hair, styling and doing your hair will be so much easier for you because you already know what to do and you know why you're doing it. You guys saw the 60 braid out I did. If you compare my results in my braid outs in that video to my results in my braid out when I did 10 sections, I'm going to put them on the screen so you guys will see side by side. And obviously doing more sections, my hairstyle came out much more elongated, came out more defined, came out more voluminous in the 60 braid outs compared to the braid outs where I normally do 10 to 12 sections. Okay, as you can see on the left, I did my braid out in 10 to 12 sections, and on the right, I did 60 braids. This is me with my one head of hair, and you can clearly see how much of a difference the number of sections makes in the way the style turns out. I also use the exact same products. Now, I'm not saying go and do a 60 braid out. I'm not even saying go and do 30. I would never ever advise anyone to do that because that thing is hard. But I'm just giving you guys an example of how the number of sections that you do can significantly affect how the style looks, how the style turns out. Now, I know these might sound like a lot of sections to some people, especially if you're not used to doing your hair in that many sections, and it can sound like a lot of work. But that is why you don't have to do stretch styles on your hair every time, and I wouldn't even advise you to do stretch styles on your hair every time. If you guys know, I'm more of an advocate for protective styles and updo styles with your hair that you can leave your hair in, moisturize your hair, and they last a long time and you don't have to keep touching and retouching your hair. So yeah, for me, I normally do these stretch styles like the roller sets and the rod sets, like in real life, like apart from when I'm filming content. I normally do them once in a while, like literally once in a couple of months. Like, I only do those styles occasionally. They're not my everyday styles, so it's not like I'm doing this amount of sections on my hair every single day or every other day or every week or anything like that. So again, I want to reiterate, these techniques are for if you want more definition, more volume, or more elongation in your styles. You don't have to do them. It's not something that you must do. You don't have to have elongation and volume and definition in your hairstyle for it to look nice. Your hair can still look very textured, very kinky, and still look very nice. Personally, I prefer when my hair, especially when I do my braid outs, I prefer my braid outs to look more on the textured, more on the afro kinkier side than when it's more defined. Like, I prefer my 10 to 12 braid outs over my 60 braid outs. It just depends on what you like and how you want your hair to look like. So the third tip for your technique is using thicker creams or butters. Once again, especially if your hair is on the coarser side. Now, thicker creams and butters usually help to soften our hair more. So because they soften our hair, it helps with the malleability of our hair. So it helps with how your hair takes to definition, how your hair smooths out and all that stuff. So if you have type 4 hair, especially 4B, 4C hair, and if you have especially if you have coarser strands, definitely thicker butters and thicker creams are the way to go. Like I said previously, I was always using shea butter when I first went natural, and that is after I did my research on like different types of butters. I found out that the best butters for coarser hair are usually shea butter and mango butter. So those are really nice butters to use for thick coarse hair. I think you can get them on Amazon or a lot of organic shops and stores online and stuff like that. If you want actual like moisturizing products, definitely try the these are some of my own favorite products that I use on a daily basis. The extra butter from Uncle Funky's daughter. If you've watched my videos, you've seen me use that thing multiple times. Curl Food from Tijin's Repair RX line. Again, you've probably seen me use that a lot of times. And the products from Chemi Biologics. I'm going to do a separate video on my favorite products, so I'm going to put all these products in there for you guys to see. You also want to use moisturizing products that have good fatty alcohols. I already did a video on the types of alcohols used in products and the ones that are good for your hair. So if you want to see that video, click the eye at the top. It's very important. For me, I've always said this. If you've been watching me from when I started making videos, I always used to say this, that your technique is far more important than the product that you use to do a hairstyle, especially if it's a stretched hairstyle. The products are like the icing on the cake. The technique is the cake itself. Your technique is so important. That's how when I first went natural in the beginning, if you watch my very old videos from when I first started, I literally only used to use shea butter and water and maybe like a leave-in conditioner to style my hair. I wasn't using any fancy products or anything like that, because I noticed that at that time when I was going natural, becoming a hair junkie, a product junkie, sorry, was something that was very common. I noticed so many people were buying up so many products and using so many products in their hair, and like I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to fall into that cycle. I didn't want to ever do that to myself. So I just like read up on different things that people use in their hair, like different ingredients, butters and all those things, and I decided to settle on shea butter and water and maybe like a leave-in conditioner, and that was all I was using to style my hair, and my styles were coming out really nice. Because I knew I was just using the basic stuff, I decided to focus a lot on my technique, to perfect my technique, so that eventually if I decide to start using products, I already have my technique down and know exactly what to do. That is why I can style my hair with almost any kind of product and I will still have really nice results. So I think I've covered everything with regards to technique, doing small sections, stretching out your hair first, using thick butters and creams. So the next thing to consider when styling your hair, your 4C hair, is the length and the density of your hair. Now this should go without saying. This should go for everybody. Obviously, how your hair looks when it's shorter is significantly different from how it looks when it's longer. Before, when I used to do my hair, when my hair was much shorter, my styles used to stand, like they go up. They never used to fall down. With every hair texture, as it grows longer, it drops more. It happens to 4C hair too. The hair loosens up a bit, especially at the ends, because the hair is older and it's weaker. It doesn't mean your hair isn't 4C anymore. It doesn't mean your texture has changed. It just means that your hair is getting older and it's getting longer and the ends are getting weaker. It is very normal. And again, the density of your hair. Obviously, a hairstyle you do on someone with really thick, dense hair is not going to look the same on a head of hair that is not as dense or is much more on the thinner side. It's obviously going to look very different. That is why I feel like we need more representation of 4C hair, especially on social media. We need to see people with long 4C hair, we need to see people with shorter 4C hair, we need to see people with thicker 4C hair, people with less dense 4C hair. We need to see 4C hair in different states and in different forms, so that you will have a wider view or a wider perspective on what 4C hair looks like in different forms. And no two heads of 4C hair are the same. Now there's something I wanted to start doing where I style like different people's heads on my channel. So I style different people that have 4C hair, mostly using my friends. So I wanted to start doing that, but obviously because of Corona this year, I couldn't do it. So after this lockdown ends, I might start doing that on my channel. I do that as a series where I style different heads of 4C hair, so that you guys will see how I might do the same style on like maybe 3 or 4 people, so that you guys will see how the hairstyle looks like on their different heads or something like that. Okay, so I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover in this video when it comes to styling 4C hair, especially if you're doing stretch styles and you want more definition, volume and elongation in your stretch styles. I'm gonna do a separate video for what things to consider when doing updo styles on 4C hair. But yeah, that's all I have for this video. Let me know if you guys found the video helpful. Let me know if there's any tips that you would like to add. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button down below on my face on this side. Also, do not forget to watch my other natural hair videos on this side. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.